really the secret that no one is talking about, the white elephant in the room, and what you really need to understand. And I'm going to lay it out very succinctly for you, talking about how AI is going to end capitalism. And not only end capitalism, it's going to end the startup, it's going to end employees, it's going to wreck everything. So let me give you some background on who I am. I am the founders of a project that I initiated back in 2009 called FoundUps. I worked with the founders of Bitcoin Magazine on a project called Small Planet. I was trying to recruit them to work on my project, but Small Planet is what they were working on, and they um, basically took my work and used it for the inspiration behind the DAO, the programmable blockchain. So I've been involved in cryptos a long time, and um, my system came about with the idea when I asked a simple question: is the startup broken? And if so, how would I fix it? That was the question. That was the question of discovery. And when you look at the data behind the startup, it's broken because 97.9%, maybe 97, 99, I'm sorry, 99 point 7%, maybe it's down to 99% because of changes, right? Of pre-seed startups without accredited investors fail. 90% of venture-backed angel startups fail, and 70% of VC-backed failed across the chasm, technically fail. They scrap the investors that pull their money out, and they'll make some money and turn around. Well, it's not hot enough. Let's put it into something else. Um, and that's the reality. And if that model you think is a success, it isn't. I mean, look at the failure rates of startup. A startup is a person with an idea trying to do something, right? And there's really no framework. Well, AI changes all this because all of a sudden you have an agent that can work on your behalf to accomplish. And now what we've seen with OpenClaw and Multibook, which is a social media site for agents, um, all of a sudden, this whole new world. All of a sudden, you have agents that can swarm, can work together. Um, what I call peer-to-peer autonomous venture systems are going to emerge. FoundUps is a peer-to-peer autonomous venture system, and they're going to be run by agents. ChatGPT, for example, just announced that he is stepping down as CEO. That ChatGPT is now CEO, right, of OpenAI, and you're going to see that more and more and more. And why are we paying then CEOs so much money? Why do we even need to hire a CEO? Start thinking about that. Why do we need board members? Why do we need, all this overhead? What I'm describing to you is what Jeremy Rifkin in his 2014 book called Zero Marginal Cost Society predicted. He predicted this society. And we have now fully entered this society. The last component that we were missing was the worker, right? You have to understand AI is not a worker. AI is an intelligent tool. It is an agentic tool, right? An agentic system that can do work. It's like having a hammer that can bang its own nails. We have that, right? It's like having a machine that can do the work of the previous worker. We've seen this. But what makes this different is that these AI systems um, can replace the majority of the workforce, and they're going to. I wrote a paper called the law of 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 customer. I can't remember the name of it now. Customer loss of customer. Right. It's the inverse of the law of market adoption. Right. The inverse of that is the S curve that starts from the back end to the front. That basically predicts that by um, 2035, more than 80% of all jobs are going to be done by these agentic systems. AGI jobs apocalypse, right, is unfolding. It is happening. And two massive AI systems, right? Opus 4.6 and ChatGPT 3.5, 5.3, dyslexia, just came out. And these are agentic systems. So the reality is, what you have to realize is this. I'm going to lay it down very clear. The startup is a venture vehicle that is what drives capitalism. Without the startup, you don't have capitalism. Every single business, whether it's Apple, IBM, you name it, started as a startup. And that startup, okay, vehicle um, operates on a marginal cost. There is a cost to do this startup. There are investors who want to get paid back. There are, there's all these different overheads. Especially big one is the biggest one in the startup is the coder, right? Guess what? Anyone now can vibe code. Anyone now can put their idea together and out there. Now the problem is there's no peer to peer. There's no peer to peer venture autonomous venture system for these agents to work on and how to do it. For the last 8 months, I've been building um, the framework for such a system, the rules, how they build, the modular, state of building, and um, imagine now when you can have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 agents all spending their energy to building, testing, researching um, a project and actually do it themselves at a near zero marginal cost. And as soon as this happens, it means that all of a sudden, every corporation, every startup, every investor money in a startup becomes at risk. Because when you can launch a system that doesn't require investors, that doesn't require um, workers, and you could have this system, fully autonomous, then it breaks the system because capitalism needs workers, and without the worker, there is no capitalism. And guess what? The worker just is the horse, and AI is the car, right? So the worker is the horse, AI is the car, and that is what's being displaced right now. Now let's pivot and talk about FoundUps and how FoundUps works. FoundUps is a founder with an idea, right? That seeks to solve a problem, right? A founder with an idea that seeks to solve a problem. It isn't it isn't necessarily about monetizing a problem. A startup seeks to monetize a problem, okay? And it leverages that problem to get investors and everything else. Whereas a found up seeks to solve a problem. And if the icing on the cake of that I would say is the revenue if it earns any. Can you imagine a system where people come together to serve problems, not for the profit of it, but for the sake of the problem, the benefit? So a system that's not built on the idea of CAG, or compounded annual growth rate, and ROI, return on investment, because when you have a system not built on investments, all of a sudden you have a new system out there that that is built on different metrics. So imagine the valuation is driven by not compounded annual growth rate, but something called collective autonomous benefit rate. So all these units working together, how is it impacting society? How is it impacting the environment? What is going to be the overall benefit of this? Simulated out long term, and that ultimately drives the value of a widget, of a FoundUp. A FoundUp is just a widget. So um, we have to usher in a new metric for our planet, right? That isn't built on the consumption of limited resources, because guess what? Our planet is built on limited resources. You know, on that. So, yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Thanks for listening to the video. Follow me on LinkedIn. Check out foundups.com. If you have any questions, shoot me. Posted a message in the comments. I appreciate